So welcome everybody to Jewel Cave. Who knows what the #1 rule is with regards to cave
Do
tours?
not touch anything.
There you go. Wow, right there. Do not touch anything, right? That's the #1. She already got it. This room here, this is called the target room. There was a couple, married couple by the name of Herb and Jan Conn. Anybody ever hear of them before? You did?
Yes.
I believe it. All right, so Herb and Jan Conn, they were a married couple. They were rock climbers turned cave explorers in 1959. Reason why I'm telling you that, they came through the historic entrance, which is a mile to the west of us, right? That is connected. That entrance over there, where they have the historic lantern tour, the historic ranger station cabin is over there. That was the visitor center and all that was known about Jewel Cave up until 1959. Two brothers discovered it in 1900. I'll talk more about them later, but they discovered it in 1900. And from 1900 until 1959, there was only 2 miles of Jewel Cave known, discovered, and mapped out. Right? So in that water, you've got a lot of calcite, you got a lot of limestone, it's breaking down. You had something else that was coming down in that water called carbonic acid. Now, carbonic acid's coming down also. What's your name right here?
Gabby?
Gabby? All right, Gabby, would you drink carbonic acid?
No.
Good answer. She said no, because we're not sure what it is, first of all, and it's got the word acid, so I wouldn't drink it. But do you drink soda?
No.
What? Never? Is this true?
Pretty true.
Okay. All right. Every once in a while, I'll find a kid that doesn't drink soda. All right. How about you right there? Do you drink soda?
No.
Is there anybody in here who drinks soda?
Yes.
All right. All you people that drank soda, you all drank carbonic acid. There you go. Thanks anyway, Gabby. Is that Gabby, right? Okay. All right. So now, right there, what's your name?
Cody.
Cody? Okay, Cody, when you drink soda, all right, let's say if you kept soda in your mouth for 2 weeks, what would happen to your teeth?
Start.
Would they start to decay?
Yeah.
Right away? Get holes in your teeth? What do you call those holes?
Cavities.
Cavities, right. So, this carbonic acid, if you kept the carbonic acid that's in the soda and all the sugar, you keep it in your mouth for 2 weeks, it's going to start to eat your teeth away. So think about all that carbonic acid coming through the openings of the limestone. It started to eat away at the limestone. Millions of years. Water coming down, carbonic acid eats away at the limestone, and that is what created all these big rooms and all the tunnels that we're going to go through. Got everybody, Dan?
All accounted for, Ranger Joe.
All right, thanks. Okay, so up there we talked about the formation of the cave, right? So down here we're going to talk about the discovery of the cave real quick. But before I do that, if you can turn away from me so I don't blind you with my flashlight, because I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to point out this is a good example of cave break, during that time period. Like I said, I believe that about 80% of everything is still covered in the nailhead spar. You can see why, a better example of that, why they call it nailhead spar, right in this area here. And you can see the calcite crystal that is underneath that nailhead. Now that ridge right there, I would say that looks like it's maybe 6-7 inches thick, right?
Yeah.
Now this obviously broke away. You can see the limestone below it. A lot of those pieces that broke away are right in front of you on the ground. So that stuff there, about 6-7 inches thick. When we get down to the 379-foot level, below the surface there, this could end up being about 14 inches thick. That is because that area below us and down to that point was underwater for a longer period of time, which gave that calcite crystal a longer time to form. You know what I'm saying? It had a longer time to build up on the walls. So that's why it's going to be a little thicker. Just wanted to let you know what that was when you get down there so you can see, as you're going deeper, you can see this stuff getting thicker. Now, with that, you can look whichever way you want. I'm going to keep talking about the discovery of the cave. Just so you know, I'm standing on cement that was poured here. I'm not violating the rules and jumped off the trail and touching the rocks. I'm not. So anyway, 1900, 2 brothers by the name of Frank and Albert Michaud They were riding horses, came from Custer, and they're riding through Hell Canyon over there, again, a mile to the west of us. With that, they got to a certain point, and they heard a loud whistling noise. They got off their horses, they climbed up the ridge, and they found the hole in the rock formation about the size of this hat. So, out of that hole is blowing cold air, and it's coming out fast. Frank and Albert Michaud were gold miners, prospectors, and that time period, right towards the tail end of the gold rush, they see that hole, they feel that air coming out, they know there's a lot of space on the inside of that hole. They want to get in there, they want to check it out. So, they're too big to get in through that watermelon-sized hole, so what do you think they did? What was that? Drop a kid in it?
Yeah.
As like a little survey? Good. That's not what they did, though. They went home, got their dynamite, they came back and they blew that hole up. They blew that hole up big enough so they could get in it, and they didn't have to shove a kid through there. So, with that, that is why we call that the historic entrance and not the natural entrance, not natural anymore. Also, first thing they saw when they went in there was calcite crystal. They thought they were looking at quartz. Apparently, quartz and gold go together. So now they're thinking they could have a gold mine. So they went right away. They filed for a mining claim with the government, the two brothers. From what I understand, they each got a claim, for that area of that place that they had discovered. They went in, they started looking around, started hacking, picking, shoveling, looking all over the place. Some time went by, but it wasn't a long period of time that they took to figure out that it wasn't quartz that they were looking at, it was calcite crystal. And they say calcite crystal has about the same consistency as your fingernails and about as much work. So the brothers had nothing going on for them then. They came up with an idea. They had their mining claim, they had this space. They said, why don't we do cave tours? We'll charge people some money to come in and check out this 2 miles of cave that we have mapped out with the calcite crystals. Thought that was a good idea. Wind Cave was already doing it in the early 1900s. They were already doing cave tours. However, there was one big difference. The closest town to Jewel Cave at that time, and still is Custer. And that was about a 12-hour horse ride from here. Wind Cave, they had some closer little towns to them, so they were doing more business. But the brothers weren't getting any business. So then they came up with an idea. Let's build a saloon, a gambling hall, maybe a hotel, something to get people to come in. They'll stay for more than one night, so maybe 12 hours on a horse wouldn't be so bad. That wasn't working. They were still getting nobody. They came up with an idea to start a dance club, maybe have somebody belong to something so they'll come back and forth. They started this dance club. They had about 40 members sign up for this dance club. They were all guys, and that didn't work out. They had another idea from there. They went on to another one. They said, maybe we can get the federal government to designate the above ground as a federal hunting reserve. Therefore, people will come in, the hunters will come in, spend a week or two. They can hunt, they can check out the cave. We can feed them, we can house them, get them liquored up, maybe take their money in the gambling hall. So some agents came in from the government, looked around up top, they're like, not enough big game here, we're not going to do that. So with that idea was out the window. But those agents went back to D.C., had conversations with President Theodore Roosevelt, and at that time they decided that Jewel Cave should be protected. So that is why it was nominated as a national monument February 7th, 1908. So they wanted to protect the cave for scientific reasons, etc., etc. The brothers still had their mining claims for a while, never really did anything with it. But do I have anybody from Iowa here? There you go. Have you heard of the Grotto of the Redemption?
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Have you been there?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know the calcite crystal from Jewel Cave is in that grotto?
Didn't know.
Yeah, nobody usually does for some reason. But that's the one thing the brothers did. They sold 2 train car loads of calcite crystal from that historic area over there, a mile to the west. Sold it to the priest that built this big grotto, like a block long, 3 stories high. Big decorative thing, right? Religious themes, all kinds of stuff. Made out of all types of stones, rocks, boulders from all over the country. I did hear all over the world. I'm not positive about that. Alrighty. Okay, what do we see back there? Thank you. Park Service does not know I do that, so don't tell them. All right, so. With that site, millions of years, and it's still growing. You can still see it's wet, dripping down over the rocks that are now buried beneath that. That is what they call flowstone. And don't know how many years that's been there, but it's been probably several million years at least. Now here you've got flowstone with what they call drapery formation. Anybody ever heard of draperies? Maybe sorry. So that would be what they consider drapery formation there. Sort of looks like squid or jellyfish or octopus, but they call that draperies because if you remember, I'll show you right here. If you remember your grandparents' house, maybe your grandmother had something like this hanging from either end of the curtain rod in the living room, right? There's tassels with. They say they look like draperies, so that's why they do that. Now, you've got a bunch of drapery formations in here. You've got iron oxide up there, inside that calcite crystal there, the breakaway area. A lot of, actually there is a stalagmite right there on top of the drapery formation, if you guys can see that. It's pretty cool. Now, a lot of drapery formations in here, a lot of stalactites. You can see all these little stalactites here. You can see the water dripping down on the outside. They got to this point here, and they said that it started to look darker to them. So with that, they named this area, and the area that we're going to go through, Spooky Hollow, just because it looks spooky. Now, this stuff up here, this is the reason why it started to look darker. This element that is on top of and covering the nailhead spar. There's a lot of this. Does anybody know what that is? Manganese. Manganese is an element. It's number 25 in the periodic table of elements. That sounds smart? Again, that's the only one I know. Just like that. Just like that. I don't know what 2, 3, and 4 are on the scale. I don't know what 24 below and 26 above are on the element scale, but I do know this one is manganese. And it stains really bad. They use it in a bunch of things. I think they use it in supplements. I've heard that it's been used in some way with water treatment facilities. They color paint with it, all kinds of stuff. So this manganese stains really bad. If you were to go on the wild caving tour here, they tell you that you have to bring a change of clothes, definitely a change of shoes, because you'll get this stuff all over you. Because on that wild caving tour, you're climbing through areas like this. You're not on stairways and platforms and walkways. They would come in every day, in and out of the cave. They never spent the night in the cave. Like the current day cave explorers, they'll spend up to 3 days, or no, 4 days, 3 nights inside the cave. But Herb and Jan used to come in, and from the beginning, before they had that the elevator and that escape hatch, you know, that goes out the side from the target room, they would come in that historic entrance, in and out every day. So it took them a while to get to here. And you have to think of it, you have to remember that they were mapping all this out for all this infrastructure. This stuff wasn't here. So when they were coming through, they were climbing, crawling, rappelling, everything. So, but when they got to this point, Herb Conn said he called this place and named it the torture room because when they got here, they had run out of water. With that, they heard dripping up here. So hoping that they would find something pooling up there, they climbed down from the bottom. This is about 12 stories from the bottom to the top. They climbed, him and his wife, him and Jan climbed all the way up there. They got up there, there's nothing up there. No sound either, no dripping anymore. Then they heard it all the way down there. Now with that, they climbed back down, went across, because they were out of water, they needed it. Climbed up, nothing up there, then they heard it dripping from up here. So when we go up these steps in a minute, you'll see on the other side of that big boulder right there, it is wet, that area. So This is what they call, Herb and Jan Conn named this the new wet room. Because when they came through in the early 60s, this place was dry. It didn't start leaking until they started blasting with dynamite for the elevator shaft, which is back in that direction. Then when they did that, it started leaking, so obviously there was some rock formation up there that was stopping the water from coming down or redirecting it somewhere else. And once they started blasting, this started leaking. So nothing they could do about it, still leaking. There are some formations taking place because of that water coming through. And you can see here, it's a good example of flowstone. So this is at least 60 years worth of flowstone. So remember Jabba the Hutt back there, how big that was? So you can get an idea how long it takes to form. Any questions about any of that? All right, we don't have the answer to that. Well, I can make something up for that too. All right, so with regards to wildlife, nothing lives over in this area. The bats and the other animals are all within 1,000 feet of that historic entrance.
Thank you for watching our video. Please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave those in the comments section. We'll work on getting them out to you as soon as possible.